Hey, it's Scott Beebe. It is Monday here in the Business on Purpose platform, and as you always hear us say, it's our favorite day of the week. It's the first day of the week. We get to kind of officially come out of the gate and liberate small business owners from the chaos of working in their business. Hey, one quick programming note. Tomorrow, at the time of this recording, is our next Business on Purpose webinar. If you go to bopwebinar.com, you'll see it there. We're going to be talking about owning your schedule in 2020. Now, once that webinar is over, that's okay. If you just go back to bopwebinar.com, our next webinar will always be there, assuming that we've got one on the docket. So just go to bopwebinar.com. Hey, over the holiday break, I had the chance to restructure my bookshelves and do one of the favorite things that I get to do, and that is meander through my books. Books are not just for nerds like me, although I love them, but books really are what I consider to be a wise conversation with an old soul. In fact, Ernest Hemingway said, "There is no friend as loyal as a book." Thomas Jefferson said, I've got this one in a frame actually behind me. It says, "I cannot live without books." Or for some of you, you're like, hey, can you throw me a modern reference? Yeah. Get you with the Game of Thrones. It was said this: a mind needs books as a sword needs a whetstone if it's to keep its edge. Hey, you're going to need to keep your edge throughout the entirety of 2020, as it is a very important year, both in local economy, global economy, and books will be the things that sharpen you. That's why I want to surround myself with books. So here's 4 books that would be helpful to give you some insight in what to load up for 2020 so that you can spend time reinvesting in yourself. Now, these 4 are in no particular order, but I thought there were 4 very important books as I was taking a look back. These are not my top books of all time, by the way. These are just 4 very important books I recommend you load up for this year. The first is a great book that I actually read for the first time last year. It's called The Alchemist by Pablo Coelho, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm not quite sure. This is a book actually my son and I listened to on Audible as we were driving to school every day last year. And so what a treat this book was for us. Hey, this is an adventure book of wisdom, and it's a very important book about kind of finding your personal dream. And this young man goes on an adventure. He thinks he's going for one thing, and turns out that he's going for something very, very different. And so this book was written back in the 1980s, an important book and a fun book. And I would even recommend, I've already recommended this for some, that business teams read this together. Just a little break from the monotony, as Will Smith said. And so the second book is also an important book. It's more of a modern book written just about a year and a half, 2 years ago by one of my favorites, Seth Godin, who wrote this great book called This Is Marketing. And it's probably the best marketing book that I've ever read. And the reason I think it's the best marketing book that I've ever read is because Seth Godin doesn't really give you a lot of strategy in this book. It's a very thick book. It's a lengthy book. But he is giving you a deep insight into what the guts of marketing is and what marketing actually is. It's a non-traditional walk through the most frustrating, at least for me, the most frustrating topic in business. Hey, this is not a 100x your business by tomorrow kind of book. This isn't fly the personal jets kind of book. This is for those of you who are willing to work the long game in your business and to do it right. The third book is by an author I've just recently uncovered. I didn't know anything about this. This is a German-British economist, E.F. Schumacher. This book I found was a treat sitting in a Chicago bookstore. And I found this on the second story in these old shelves. And I looked at it and I started to thumb through it. And then I actually started to read through it. And then I just bought it and was immediately taken by the explanation of the 3 purposes of human work. If you as a business owner or a key leader want to understand what's the purpose of work, this is an excellent book. He wrote it in the late 1970s, and it is eerily relevant today. The fourth book that I wanted to show you was this great gem. It was actually written back in 2005 and 6, but it's been updated since, by Yvon Chouinard, Let My People Go Surfing. You might know that name. Yvon Chouinard is actually the founder of a name I'm sure you know, and that's Patagonia, the apparel brand. And it gives you a counter-business culture insight into life from what I think I would classify to be a socialist-minded entrepreneur operating in a very capitalistic world. And so regardless of your affinity this book will absolutely help you breed ideas, insight, and maybe even a pinch of intentional confusion. I love the subtitle, The Education of a Reluctant Businessman. The Education of a Reluctant Businessman. You know what? Let me give you a bonus fifth book that you can add to your bookshelf, and this will be an easy one to read, but it is an important book just released a few months ago by an author named Tim Elmore. And this book's called Generation Z Unfiltered. Trust me, read this. If you have students or kids in the Gen Z, which is basically about 19 or 18 and below, or you're going to be hiring them very, very soon, this is the definitive book so far. I realize that this generation is very new, but it is the definitive book on how to understand this new and emerging generation, which is an incredibly important, creative, and powerful generation, Generation Z Unfiltered. I want to make sure that you're prepared for that. So again, this is not my list of top books all time. That may come later this year. I might do that, but definitely some powerful reads to keep you engaged in this important year of reinvestment. Hey, reinvest in yourself. I want you to set a timer 10 minutes per day during the week and just commit to reading. Just read. Yeah, Scott, but reading's boring. Well, that's okay. Read anyway. I want you to be like my buddy TJ. TJ does not consider himself a reader at all. In fact, makes fun of himself all the time for not liking to read. But last year, he took up the courage to start reading. And it's hard to see in this picture, but it's one of my favorite pictures because right next to TJ is one of his little guys at his house who's reading right next to his dad. When you start to read, you don't know what's going to happen around you, and it can transform your life, and it can transform the life of people around you. So I want to challenge you to start reading. Hey, if there's one more book you want to queue up, go get my book, Let Your Business Burn. If you're a business owner who wants to stop putting out fires, discover purpose, and build a business that matters, just go on to Amazon, go to Let Your Business Burn. You can grab that book there. It's a fun read, lots of stories, and very, very hands-on. I walk you through a lot of templates, tools that'll walk you straight through how to liberate your business, how to liberate you from the chaos of working through your business. And also, at this recording, we've got our next Business on Purpose webinar, which is tomorrow, owning your schedule in 2020. Stop wasting hours every week on small, boring tasks that never really add to your life. Just go to bopwebinar.com. We're trying to come up with innovative ways that we can help liberate you from the chaos of working in your business and be more helpful for you this year. Check us out as always on our YouTube channel at the My Business on Purpose podcast and on LinkedIn through the articles that we've got there. You can connect with us at My Business on Purpose on Facebook, and we'll see you next time right here, the Business on Purpose platform.